Two of a Sin and a Shame by Victoria Christopher Murray. Um, it's a great read. It was something that I found on Google Reads, and it had different ratings. And as you notice, some of them have lower ratings. But I want us to see how this can relate to our lives. The main characters are Victoria. I'm sorry, not Victoria. She's the author. But our main characters are Mrs. Jasmine. We have been introduced to JT. We have been introduced to Malik, which is her god brother. And also her main focus is on the Reverend, how she is obsessed with a pastor that has no infatuation, or he doesn't really want to be bothered with her. So this week I want to start the book club off with asking, can anybody honestly relate to Jasmine? If you can't relate to it, have you ever met someone that had the passion and the power to go for what she believes in, regardless of the no's, to go for what they want regarding men, her lifestyle, even her friendships?
I can relate. I relate to Jasmine. Um, her ability or her wanting to just be loved. I think to find someone of her own, to be married, to have a family. But Jasmine going about it, they kind of like the wrong way. I have people that step over people to get to what they want. It doesn't matter what somebody say or how bad it is. She'll step over a very dear friend just to get what she wants. And then she's kind of like a vindictive person, a little vindictive, because if you're on her bad side, she gonna find a way to retaliate. So I've known some Jasmines, and Jasmines can turn out to be very, very good people, very good people, but they can be vindictive people.
I think we were introduced much more to her softer side, how she took on May Francis. For anyone that hasn't read, May Francis is her neighbor. She pretty much observed Jasmine, and she took on to her where she wanted to be her friend. We started off in chapter 5 when it pretty much started off with Jasmine was mad at her god brother. Her god brother is the one that brought her to New York. She was in a situation where she slept with her best friend's husband. She tried to destroy their wedding, which it did not work out. So Jasmine is pretty much like a narcissist. She has been diagnosed with a disorder where she does not like to be alone. As women, I think a lot of women have that concept where we don't want to be alone, so maybe we look for love in all the wrong places. Jasmine seems to me like she always wants what she cannot have. So to me, as the book unveiled, she seems pretty much spoiled. I do like her ambition where she does go for what she wants. We do find out in the book that she is a hard worker, so she does work. Even though she wants to marry a man that has money, she does bring her own ideas to the table. She got some of her father's inheritance. The thing that one of my questions was, why don't y'all think Malik warned the Reverend about Jasmine?
I don't think he felt that he needed to share with the Reverend about Jasmine's past. Maybe he felt like if he continued to just talk to Jasmine himself and just tell Jasmine, he's not interested in you. You and the pastor are not compatible. Just leave him alone. Focus on something else, and he's not going to live up to your standards. So I guess he thought that maybe if he continued to just talk to her, and maybe he could convince her, not to be interested in the pastor anymore.
And Jasmine is a changed woman, so go be a changed Christian woman, so going to church. And Malik probably don't see any signs, any warning signs that he feel that he should go to the pastor about anything. Because what Jasmine is doing now is nothing out of the ordinary. She just Jasmine, She's not doing anything crazy. So right now, there's no need to warn the pastor of anything.
Now, are you saying like when he first introduced Jasmine to the pastor, and she kind of like had an interest in the pastor from the first time she met him, or when she continued to try to make herself be show herself to the pastor, or kept trying to get make herself available to have some kind of communication with the pastor? Which one?
Right. Not when she first after when he realized how interested she was in the pastor, after he told her he had a business meeting, he kept telling her don't come. And when she popped up with an empty folder, when he saw that she brought lies and manipulation to the church, it seems to me like if you're friends with the pastor and Jasmine is your god sister, and if you know she has been in counseling already because she was obsessed with someone, her loves become to a point of it's not love, it's obsessive. She turns her lust into obsession. It seemed like, why didn't he warn him then? And then he was adamant about, you are not his type. You are not his type. He kept trying to talk and cancel her, but it's like, why didn't you warn the Reverend? Do you think the Reverend was already equipped with women like her? Or he just was trying to be a better brother to her?
I think it was
But
not his
by
place to warn him. Both of them are grown, despite of Jasmine past and how she acted in the past. That's his god sister, and the pastor is his pastor. And he probably had enough faith in his pastor to know that the pastor could handle himself appropriately without him dibbling or dabbling or, giving any kind of warning. So I think he just stayed out of it because it wasn't his place.
And plus the pastor had Deacon Hill, Brother Hill,
Brother
and then
Hill.
he had his secretary, and I'm sure he had other people that was around him that protected him or tried to protect him from, these type of things. He probably had encountered women like that before. So I think he probably knew how to handle Jasmine. I really think Malik was just trying to speak to Jasmine himself and try to just talk to her and, just get her to realize that he was not interested in her and just change her focus. I think he was doing it. And also what Kim said, they were adults.
Malik,
And also,
who's speaking?
Oh no,
Malik?
I was just gonna say also, when the secretary, they made mention a couple of times that the pastor was used to women throwing themselves, on him. So if it hadn't worked then, I think, like I said, he felt he was grown enough and man enough to handle his own business. It wasn't his place to warn him.
And Malik, by him knowing Jasmine for so long and so well, Malik know that no matter what he say, Jasmine's gonna do what Jasmine gonna do. And she's not gonna stop until she accomplished or failed at whatever mission. When her eyes and mind is set on things, he knows there's no changing it.
That's true. And she even got to the point where she stabbed her own ties. Brother Hill recognized it and showed her the knife. So it's like, even as every time God unfolded her lies and deception, she kept on. And then we got to think about it. Pastor Bush, he was smart because he sat right there and told her, everything that you're doing, I already know about the phone calls, you're stabbing the tires. And even when he told her that he was not interested, she became angry and she plotted revenge against him. So now let's look at it. Now we realize that she met her son, Hosea. Hosea was a perfect gentleman. She was not interested in him. He was not her type. He was too short. She didn't like the fake jewelry. She didn't trust him, but he was a total gentleman to her and he tried. Do you think that's a twist of faith? It's like, okay, is God introducing me to the son, or is that the devil playing games?
That made me think about the Holy Rollers.
Yeah.
When what was it? Was her name Regina? What was her name? That the pastor liked her, but he wouldn't have an intimate relationship with her like she wanted. So she was, and that just became an issue because she had put it in her mind that she was this beautiful woman with this beautiful body. And she had all these things going on based on her past of all these different men that, that she had had some type of relationship with. So maybe, I'm just thinking, I don't know, maybe Jasmine, I really don't understand. I really don't know why I don't know.
Because the son was a nice guy, but it seemed like even when she met the son, she was determined to marry a Bush man. It's like, but the thing that got me, now remember Jasmine kept saying she's changed, she faithfully goes to church, she faithfully talks to God, and she swore off marrying men. But when she was reintroduced to Brian, she was willing to sleep with him and take his number.
That's because she was getting back. That's because of the best friend of the best friend. She didn't like her. So that was just to get back, to be vindictive and get back at his wife. Because yeah.
To get
So
back
that
at
he didn't
Alexis,
mean anything to her. That was a reason that she wanted to do that, just to get back at someone.
she didn't like him.
So now we realizing Jasmine she's not a changed woman.
She's a vindictive woman. And when somebody, because Alexis Ward she considered Alexis her arch enemy. And Dr. Brian Lewis was Alexis' husband. And she felt that if she could get Dr. Lewis in bed, that's getting back at Alexis, because one day she gonna let Alexis know what Sheena did to get back at Alexis.
That's true, but remember, she was interested when she first seen him, because she kept looking at like, don't I know him? Did we sleep together? That's when we realized that she had slept with a lot of men. So her goal, even before she changed herself and reinvented herself, we have already realized she has had her way with men, mostly married men, because she felt like her looks and everything get her want, especially sex, because that's what she wanted to trap Hosea with. If he can just spend one night with me, I get him in bed and mesmerized. Do you think you have men out there weak enough to be fooled by women like Jasmine that make a life with her? Because it seems like Hosea is trying to make a life with her.
Yeah, you have men and you have women out there that thinking just like Jasmine. If I can get him in the bed, that's all it's gonna take. That's all it's gonna take. And that's what Jasmine playing. If she could get him in the bed, that's all it's gonna take. Because now remember, Jasmine is working. She's working against his father, because that father and Brother Hill and Miss Whittington, say she working against them because she got to get her plan in before they get their plan in. So she could get him in bed, and that saying say you can't beat pillow talk. And she can get him, if she can get him in the bed, ain't nothing his dad, Brother Hill or Miss Whitaker can do after that,
The Bible does tell us flee from temptation, and you're right, because once I get him in the bed and I can get in his head and constantly whisper nice things in his ear, I got him at his weakest, most vulnerable moments. So now he's open to me, and not only am I catering to his sexual desires. So it's like, do y'all think sex ruled the heart? Is that why most preachers refrain from it?
No, I think that I think it was just a plot of the enemy, and it is this delusional lie where she felt like she was getting what she wanted, but in actuality, she was only hurting herself. I don't know if I read too far ahead. I think I made it to chapter 20. But I was listening to the audio book, but what I found so fascinating was the authentic love that these two men actually had for Christ, and the fact that he wanted to be celibate. So in her actions echoed the average woman that I know, myself included, in my ignorance. Well, not to that extreme, but when you want to get in and you want to change somebody, instead of allowing that man to be who God created him to be, and instead of supporting that man in the process of him, he's doing what the Lord wants him to do. He's living for the Lord, right? He's taking her to church. He's treating her like a queen. He doesn't want to kiss. He doesn't want to do anything that's going to hinder his relationship with his heavenly Father first. But in her mind, she did not care. She did not have any morals, any spiritual or genuine relationship with Christ. And unfortunately, I know a lot of fingers get pointed at men, but in this book, oh no, it's all on her. All on her, and the lies and the delusion that she walked in.
And she considers it rejection when he didn't kiss her and didn't want to go follow her to her apartment or put his arm around her, and all of that kind of thing. She considers that rejection. So that makes her mission more and more, because she says she got to keep her eyes on the prize. And her prize is to be married. She feels that God said she needed to be married to a preacher, and it got to be a bush. So that's her mind. She got to keep her eyes on the prize. and he is the catch.
But do
And
y'all
she
think
ain't gonna be able to see the forest for the trees. You know, she ain't gonna be able to see the true love because she's too busy scheming and scamming.
it's like it's worldly though? Have you if we look at the current trends, did y'all get the thing when I sent y'all about the guy named Jackson about how his wife is totally for Christ and how he cheated on her? And it seemed like instead of everybody, even though they making comments toward him, they dragging her for standing up for her faith. And she was telling everybody, it's like, no, it was bigger than what it was about him. It was about her faith to Christ and her faith to her vows. So it's like that's trending in the world. Every song that we hear, everything is sexualized. It's talking about sex. When we read it, it's talking about sex. Like that's the ultimate goal. If we can get them sexually, it's like it overrules the mind, and there goes your heart. So I think Jasmine, even though she was going to church, putting on that front and wanting to preach, I think she was still worldly, and she figured like if I can't have sex with him, I can't totally control him. It's no different from Samson and Delilah when we read that in the Bible. Because look how Delilah broke down big old strong Samson through sex, like said pillow talk. She got him every time they got through having sex. Now I'm talking to you, get in your head. I'm your best friend. Do you think you can have love without sex?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think sexual intimacy I know it was created as it is worship. Is worship in the most holiest sense. And it is the only time when the two truly become one flesh is during sexual intimacy. And I know that it's not by accident that Christ would even compare the union of a husband and a wife to Christ and his church. It is the exact same comparison in the Bible for a man to love his wife as Christ loved the church, and for that man to be so willing to give himself for that spouse. So, and when you make that commitment, you make that vow before the Lord. Anytime you have sexual relation with that person that you're married to, you're reminding the Lord of that vow that you made. You're reminding that Lord of that communion. It's just like taking communion. Do this in remembrance of me. So when you take that bread and you take the wine and you do your communion, you're remembering what Christ gave when you do that. And it's the same way with husband and wife. The enemy works so hard to get you to have sex before you get married. And then when you get married, the goal is to get you to have sex with the person that you're not married to. And it's all a plot and a plan to distract us and to send us to hell, so we not have what God's best for us.
And I don't know if Jasmine really loved this man, because she talked about she found all the flaws.
Yeah.
He was too short, the little gap in his tooth, the earring, the little gut he had, you know, but she was saying, well, she could work and fix all that. She worried about fixing him up and everything. And then when he did come to church and she found out that was him and stuff, and she watching his movement. I know she heard nothing he said about the Lord. She watching his movement, she just studying him. And then she gonna say, this is the day she fallen in love for real this time. Now the man hadn't even done anything.
She fell in love with the ideal of it. And I think most men don't get that. I think a lot of men overlook a lot of good women because those are not the women that they desire. Those are the women that they appreciate. But I think a lot of men overlook a lot of great women because they looking for somebody that is overly sexualized. Even with Hosea, I think when he was first attracted to Jay, I think he saw her beauty. And I think some men want women they can transform. Because even with Hosea seeing Jasmine, as smart as he is, there's no way he don't miss, he is not seeing all those lies and manipulation. Even when he walked into her door, I'm trying to persuade you to come in. Then he see her disappointment when I take you on a simple date because he wanted to do something different for her. And the whole time in her mind is, I'm laying my head on his shoulder. I'm trying to be more intimate toward him. And she's constantly laying there thinking how she gonna change him and fix him up. It's like, I'm trying to dress you up to be the man that I want versus the man that you presented me with. And I think men do that with women. You get a woman and you dress her up for the woman that you desire to make it okay. And I think that's why a lot of relationships end, because it's like, you don't love me for who I am. You love me for who you can change me to be if you know I'm weak-minded and naive.
I think that
And she didn't pay attention. Oh, go
she
ahead.
was comparing him to, the book says that she had slept with several men, and some she probably couldn't remember their names, but I'm sure they didn't look like Jose. They probably were taller. They probably didn't have the gap, didn't have the large midsection or whatever things that she mentioned. And so she was used to sleeping with men that looked a different way. And so I was thinking about, before we didn't read the other book that they mentioned, Temptation. I don't know if Jasmine lost weight in that book or if she lost weight, because at the beginning of Sin and the Shame, we were talking about that, she and her sister was having a conversation, and it seems as if she had lost over 20 pounds maybe.
Mm-hmm.
And had to purchase all these expensive clothes, but her sister was still kind of large, and that weight was not an issue with her. And so that made me think that, how when you lose weight and you think, or you get a procedure done to enhance your appearance, then it kind of builds your confidence. So I'm assuming that it built her confidence, and in the process of building her confidence, she was able to attract different type of men. Men that probably wouldn't have normally looked at her. What'd you say, Dara?
The man that would normally look at her
probably wouldn't have normally looked at her. And then just to keep those men, then maybe she started to do all these things that was, out of character. And it made her to be that Jasmine that she had to go and repent from, that she thought that she had left behind, but now that same spirit has risen up again, and she's starting this whole process over again. So right. I thought she had confidence. I thought she was confident in herself. I thought her self-esteem was high, but then when she felt rejected and the men wasn't giving her the attention she thought she should have been getting, then that made me feel as if she still had some self-esteem issues.
But then she thought she was kind of like high and mighty, because on the plane, remember, Jose, before she even knew his name and everything, he was just despicable, and he was
disgusting.
She turned her nose up at him, and and she couldn't stand his snoring and all of that. But she still used him to get home, with the plane and everything. Right. And even back then, he was throwing. She couldn't even recognize that he was throwing hints at her then, saying, "Oh, I'm gonna have your number, and you're gonna be my wife." He was already making plans and everything, but of course he had a gap, no weight, and all of that kind of thing. Now all of a sudden, she finds out who he really is. He's a well-known TV personality. He's the father of the man that she still got a crush on, because I don't think she got over, but I think the Reverend is not down with her. And all of a sudden, Jose is the best thing that she could ever have. If she's willing to be with Jose, even though she don't like a lot of stuff about him, she don't like.
Jasmine only became the way she is, high-minded, as you would say, because after they received the money from the life insurance policy, and I think that's brought that changed her based on the conversation she was having with her sister at the beginning of the book. But even though he was not the man that she was attracted to, she became attracted to him because her goal was to marry a wealthy person.
Well, yeah, but she claimed she had a premonition. That God gave her a premonition and everything, that the daddy Bush, Pastor Reverend Samuel Bush was the man that God sent to her, because only thing he did was walk in the pulpit and greeted the congregation, and she swear he looked at her a certain way. He even greeted her in the line. The way he touched her hand, he wanted her, and nothing was gonna stand in her way of getting him. So
I think it's one of the oldest thing, the tricks in the book, how we trick ourselves in our minds. I don't think that I think her confidence grew more when she got the money and she lost weight. Because if you listen to her and JT converse, the brother's friend, well, her god brother's friend, he was like, I didn't take you as the type of woman that was, would ignore him. And she basically said, like, yeah, but I'm a certain type of different woman than that, because it's like, if it's not what I want, I'm not going for it. Because it said she had already slept with a bunch of different men. And remember, she said the old Jasmine would have went for JT. But the new Jasmine don't want JT because JT is married. But if JT hadn't been married, Jasmine would have slept with JT. Like all the other men, that's what it was letting us know. And then remember, she already had a crush on Brian. She wanted Brian, but Brian knew what type of woman Jasmine was. And he was not finna jeopardize the relationship that he had with her arch enemy, that she made her own enemy. So he was man enough for to know he sees straight through Jasmine, because I know Jasmine the type of woman that fixed her eyes on, men
But
that
now,
have money. But now, since she got money, she don't have to lower her standards to certain men, because I got my own money, but I'm still looking for somebody to add on to it, so it's less that she has to do. I think Jasmine are one of those women. She has studied men very well. She goes for what she wants. It's like how we said, I think she a snake. She's sneaking and she can creep around and pay attention, because it's not nothing new to her what she doing. Now she just got the money to do and reject the type of men. Now she don't have to settle for them. I can reject them. So that boosted her confidence. If you notice now, we can see people every day and they can be nice. Let these people come into a little money. Even around tax time, people will change. People will change everything that they stand for when they think they got something different. They start hanging around new friends. They look down on their other friends. They get a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend because now I have the money to do what I want. And they'll forget about everything they stand for the money. Notice the money didn't change her sister. The sister felt like, I don't have to lose weight, because the sister was confident in herself because her confidence came from Christ. Malik was confident in himself. And he remember when he told JT, he was like, no, don't play me like that, because I always have looked at the Lord. I think Mae Francis, her neighbor, she see exactly what type of woman Jasmine is. You sneaking and you manipulative, and she don't believe in God. Mae Francis don't believe in God. That still didn't change Jasmine friendship toward her. Jasmine was perplexed because she looking like, you rich and you wealthy and you don't believe in God. Even I believe in God. I always knew he was there. Mae Francis feel like there ain't no God. Look at all the trouble and the hardship in the world, and we meet people like that every day. It seemed like everything that she's going through is like God allowing her with people to so she can see herself, but she's so busy to focus on the things that she wants. She's missing the signs from him. You know how people play with the Bible? It's like, I'm transforming in my mind. This is the type of life that I want. So God is going to give it to me because I go to church. Notice we never see Jasmine read the Bible. She don't quote a scripture. I go to church. So God going to give me what I want. I changed. I'm not sleeping with married men, even though on certain levels I will, because I was willing to sleep with Brian. If JT had been caught me maybe 5 years ago, I would have begged JT too, because he got money. He tall. All the women want him. And even with Hosea, like we know she don't want Hosea. Even with the father, she still got plots and schemes because I want the father. Remember, she did say, I'm gonna get back at the father. So regardless of whatever they saying, she already got the lies in her head. What I'm gonna tell Hosea if they tell him this. And she know Hosea is weak-minded. The only thing Hosea is not weak enough to go for her, I'm not gonna deny God for you. And I think Hosea is naive enough because he don't see the type of woman that she is, or he see it, and she his dream woman, so he gonna settle and try to change her.
And back to Brian, Dr. Brian Lewis. Brian knew exactly. See, Jefferson Blake was Brian's good friend. Both of those are doctors, and they were best friends. So of course, Brian knew what Jasmine did to try to break their marriage up by sleeping with him. So he saw Jasmine just as a whore. Yeah. He didn't want Jasmine. He was really messing with her when he first, like he said, oh yeah, Jefferson Blake. You know Jefferson Blake? Yeah, you slept with his wife, your best friend, husband, and everything. Brian didn't want her, but as any other man would. I know you ain't no good. You ain't gonna make me leave my wife, but hey, I'm willing to see what's there. Right. And that's what Brian had no intention. He probably just getting back at her, mad at what she did, and he was gonna get back
to his
at
wife,
her
best friend,
and probably expose her. Yeah, that's what he gonna do. He didn't care nothing about her.
You know, before we started the, on the meeting today, I was mentioning the best friend, and your best friend has a best friend. So as you all were talking, and I was saying, and you were talking about how when Jasmine don't get what she wants, she becomes vindictive, and so she's gonna go back and get you for whatever. And so now I'm thinking, did she and her best friend have some kind of conflict, and to get back at her, she slept with her husband? And I always think of, just go back and try to put pieces together.
You have to,
But
No,
I'm
you
just
know,
wondering if she's that vindictive person, and if she feel rejected, or you're not, whatever we're doing is not really what she wants to do, or she feel as if you are maybe going against her, a threat to her, she's going to do something to hurt you. So I wondered, did she go back and just do that to her best friend? And it really didn't matter. She liked Blake Jefferson.
Right. Honestly, I don't think that she did get it back to her. I think since in fact he was a doctor and she wanted men with a certain status of money, and then she slept with him one time. Notice how she uses sex. She used sex to get what she wanted, try to trap men. And I think since he was one of the ones he didn't fall for, it made her snap out and go crazy, and she had to get counseling. I think it was the status and the prestige. We see, like I said, it's like if we pay attention and we see women like that all the time. Women will change when they get, and we all do. We get a little bit of money. The first thing I want to do, I want to get my hair, because you want to feel good and you want to look good. We all guilty of it. You let me get a new outfit and a new hairdo, you can't tell me nothing. Now I don't have the mentality. I don't want anything that belongs to anybody else, because I feel like it's not mine. So that's where my complex come in at. Earlier today, I was sitting outside talking to my uncle and my mom, and I have this thing, and I had to ask Kim this one day. I get this misconception of I could be real mean, and a lot of people think I'm mean, and then some people think I don't. So we was having this conversation, and my uncle was saying something like, yeah, when you was little, I'm one of them people that you can push me so far, and then once you push me to my limit, that's why I told him, like, you can't keep poking the bear and think I'm gonna stay asleep, because then I'm gonna come back. And it's not, mine's is not a point of being vindictive. Mine's is get to a point where I'm the type of person, if I don't respect you anymore, I can't conversate with you. I can act like I hate you, but I never to a point where I'm hating anybody. But as long as I can act like I hate you and don't want to deal with you, and I'm going to conversate with you, because I always try to see the best in the people. But if it gets to a point where I have no respect for you, there's no more communication, because it's not going to be nice. My words are not going to be nice. I'm not going to want to deal with you, because I feel like I done gave you so many chances, and you done got to a point where I feel like you constantly kicking me and using me because I'm nice to a fault, because that's how I was raised. You treat people like you want to be treated. But it comes to a point where you constantly use my kindness for weakness. It's like now you see the other side come out, and it's not always nice. And to me, Jasmine was not like that, because I think everybody got two sides. I remember teaching my students, like, everybody has two sides. And that was you saying, my friend, I don't think I could be friends with someone that hurt one of my best friends. It's like, if you hurt my best friend, there's no other best friend. It's like, nah, we got to cut off communication, especially if you was there first, because it's like wrong is wrong. And I think society give people too many passes. We easy to feel sorry for them. But then I guess you got to look at it like, well, can I condemn them? Am I wrong because am I judging them? And that's the same way with Jasmine. I think Jasmine's not even her sister, but I think Malik should have cut Jasmine off and put her on the back burner when she went behind his back with the Reverend. I think he should have told her, well, you need to change churches so you will be okay. But it's like they was constantly pacifying Jasmine. And to me, Jasmine was just used to having her way, like she was spoiled. I don't know if she the only child on her mom's side, but it's like everybody was pacifying Jasmine, making excuses for him, giving her a break. And Mae Francis come in, and I think Mae Francis is going to be the one they're going to call out on her BS. Even
but
though
you know,
I'm sorry, what you saying, daughter?
Jasmine is a smart girl. Even though she had those issues, Jasmine is smart. And she worked for Malik on this project, because they finna get ready to open a club. So she's smart. And he employed her. That's why she left New York, because he hired her. And I mean, that's why she come to New York. He hired her to work on his project and everything. So she is smart. She just have a few issues, but he probably figured that she have worked out her issues, just worked out her issues. And then of course he didn't want to say nothing to stir her up, because sometimes he didn't, sometimes you can say something about something that has not taken place yet. Her mentalness or anything, he hadn't seen anything unusual yet. So he didn't want to call her out for no reason, to stir up something that may not, come to light.
But didn't he tell her, you're doing the same thing again? Are you back to your ways? Or he did tell her that.
He did. He pulled off to the side and he was trying to tell her. So it's like when you get to a point where you can, it's like, is she the type of woman that you have to cut off? Because it's like the only person to me that saw straight through Jasmine, because it's like Malik was feeling sorry for her because they didn't want her to snap out again, where she had to go back to counseling. She wasn't going to counseling more. It's like it came to a point when you saw she was being manipulative with the Reverend, even though he didn't tell him everything. And especially when you know that she getting close to Hosea. It's like, when you gonna step in and say, okay, Jab, enough. Either you get some help or I'm gonna fire you, or blah, 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 blah.
But he probably wasn't gonna fire her. He probably just say, look, I'm done. I tried to talk to you and tell you, leave this man alone. Stay away from this family. Don't even talk to his son or whatever. But listen, you grown, you're gonna do your own thing, and whatever happens, happens. I'm just, my hands are, I'm done with it.
But telling her in a way that she believed he meant what he said.
Right.
I think he did tell her how in the ways that he meant what he said.
Did.
It was just in her mind.
In her mind.
Whatever he was saying, it wasn't connecting. It was coming out of her mouth, his mouth, but she wasn't receiving what he was saying, and the perception wasn't good.
And that's the very reason he didn't need to tell the pastor, because he knew he was her god sister. He knew her longer than anybody. If he couldn't make her connect, what the use of him telling the pastor? Because the pastor wasn't gonna make her connect, because she was just too obsessed with the pastor to even believe anything. I mean, the pastor didn't do a thing. And I'm just thinking back in the book Temptation. Jefferson Blake probably didn't do anything to her either to lead her on, but she had in her mind that
he had sex with her.
Huh?
Yeah. Remember, he had sex with her.
But she thought, wait, but her being manipulative now. Jefferson Blake probably was trying to be nice because that was his wife's best friend. And some kind of way, and we all have to read the book, because she probably manipulated him, and he probably regretted it soon after.
Or he probably was at a low point and she just went on in.
He probably told his wife what had happened. And that's what Brian Lewis said.
Told they living a perfect life.
That they ran you out of town. Said, oh, you the one they ran out of town. So if then it got too hot, she had to book up.
But but it's like now with Malik now, because that's even as a friend. It's like when you see somebody going down a destructive path, when you can't tell them, it's like sometimes that's what an intervention. It's like you got to have an intervention, because like the Reverend told her, it's like you willing to destroy this whole church to get what you want, because every time you call me away playing these games, you taking away from other things that I'm supposed to be doing. You playing like you want to schedule interview me. Then you called and said you got an interview or something with Bill Cosby. You playing like your tie being stabbed, and I have other things, and I'm really trying to get this building committee off the line. Because it's like, even with the son Hosea, you plotting and scheming with him, but you not caring about the destruction you bringing to nobody else. You don't care about, you was obsessed with the father. You don't care about bringing down the church. This Malik business, and he working with this. You don't care about bringing down there, because it's all about getting what you want. So to me, it's like when God allowed her to meet Mae Francis in her life, you wondering about Mae Francis, but you ain't paying attention to, you are Mae Francis. Because Mae Francis only worried about her and what you gonna be to her, and you only worry about what you gonna be to other people. And it's the same with the best friend.
In a church setting, and Mae Francis not.
Right, and Mae Francis not. So it's like, just because Mae Francis not in the church, then y'all two in the same. Because Mae Francis rich. She said her husband was a doctor. And if she didn't believe in God, we don't even know what all Mae Francis did to get her own husband.
Let me ask you this question.
Mae Francis and them been in that building. They were one of the first Black couples in that building since 1964, I think.
Yeah,
So,
that's what she said.
don't know what happened to her husband, what he did. She
Mm-mm.
probably could have been fat. I don't know, seemed like she an alcoholic or something
Yeah.
like that. I don't know, but Jasmine was not gonna leave Reverend Bush alone. She had to hear it from his mouth.
She
And when he
heard it.
told
She
her,
heard it. He
She
told
heard
her.
it several times from his mouth.
I
What he
know,
had to do? Write
that's what
it
I'm saying.
on the tablets of his heart.
Malik Nam couldn't have stopped her. She had to hear it from Reverend Bush because she felt that Bush wanted her.
She
saw
heard it, but she said she heard him say it out of his mouth, but she felt his eyes was saying something else, or his body language was saying something else. Well, since we've been together, ladies, and everybody's not here tonight, so if one of us, like you mentioned, Coretta, about an intervention. So what if one of us was similar to Jasmine, and you all just saw us, just that person just trying so hard after this man or these men and continuing to be rejected and told that they were not interested in her, and that person continued and continued and to continue to pursue something that wasn't going anywhere. What would be the intervention? What would you do so different than Malik? What would be the intervention?
I think for me, if I was her boss, I would honestly fire her. And I would honestly tell, the other deacons, like, look, I would tell them, like, this is my sister and I love her, but she has been through a lot. The best thing that we can do for right now is just try to seek and get her some help and let her not be a part of the congregation anymore until she gets everything else together. Because and you see situations where you do see people playing with somebody's emotions and leading them on. You see that a lot. They'll say one thing, but they'll still come around and sleep with you, have relations with you and stuff like that. But this is different. He wants nothing to do with her. He ain't calling her. He ain't playing. He wants nothing to do with her. So it's like in a situation like that, and they will tell you, I will be honest with them because it's like, you my friend, I love you enough for to say, like, look, you see he rejecting you. He honestly clearly don't want you. He's not leading you on in any way. He's not calling you. He's not texting you. He's not coming by your house. He rejecting you in all situations. It's going to come to a point they're going to stop you from coming to church, and I'm going to terminate you from this job because I love you and I want better for you. And I
But her
don't want you to do the
job,
same
but
with
her
the pastor.
job and
and
her
you know what
the
they're
pastor
gonna
should have been
do?
separate.
They're gonna make her burn down the church.
That's right. I was just going to
And
say,
everything.
you tell the people,
Make her
you put
go
her picture
crazy.
out there and you tell them, this is Jasmine, whatever her last name was. She is not allowed on the premises. And she is, and y'all know she don't like rejection, and she's going to be really vindictive, and she's going to be embarrassed and ashamed. Some going to get the burning bush. It's gonna turn into something that so firing her I wouldn't recommend firing her, because that was just two separate things. Even though that was his god sister, they worked together, he took her to church. I don't know how firing would have been an intervention.
That wouldn't have stopped her. She would have messed Malik up too. She would have messed him up.
Well, who's to say if the pastor knew all this, and you know what? He may have been used to women coming on to him all the time, flirting with him. Women like to flirt with the pastor. Well, who's to say he hadn't told him anything anyway? Because he already knew. Look, I know this, I know this, I know this. How you think he knew that?
And he knew she had called and played like she was Patricia.
He knew all that. He knew it. Who's to say Malik didn't tell it? They knew to watch her. That Brother Hill knew to watch her.
First of all, how she walked in the church that day in Brother Hill. With her, she all showing cleavage and want to go to the front. He said, no, those are reserved. And he saw her bottom when she still was trying to sneak around the other way, and how she want to get in the receiving line. You can spot those kind of women a mile away, because they got their air. All of them work the same way. You ain't gonna be able to get no man attention unless you have a tight fitted outfit on, it above your knee. You got to show some cleavage. You got to show something. Have your hair fixed a certain way. and you smiling, hey, pastor, something, you doing something. All the women got that same trait. It's the same trait. You know you ain't gonna be attracted to the pastor if you conservative, got a long maxi on. Ain't nobody
Yes,
looking at
that's my style. Being conservative,
Nobody looking at-
turtleneck. I think, yes, he probably, yeah, he would be looking at me.
And
Okay.
these
If
pastors
I
were,
was
they
right
were
there
not
beside
attracted to
this
that.
standing me,
No.
They
and
were
that's
different.
Jasmine, he would have looked towards the left
Yeah,
with
and I
my
guess
turtleneck.
all the way up. Can't see nothing. I don't
He
know.
would
It
have
did.
looked.
Yeah,
Thank you, sir.
I think a man gonna be a man, even a pastor. But I think some of them, even if they gonna look like she said, he seen look at, but that don't mean he react. I think men are gonna be men, and especially if she's a beautiful woman, but all of them don't react. And for the viewers, for everyone that's watching, we are going over Victoria Christmas Mary book. This is a copy of her book. If you want to get a copy and look it up, it's a great read. It challenges you to think about yourself and about life and about people in church. Every time a sin and a shame, because sometimes we do commit sins, and sometimes it's a shame because we don't realize when we're falling. And I think Jasmine, she was being shameful and she did not care. And I even
Or she didn't realize.
you know what, you know what, maybe she didn't, because, and that's the thing, you know, in our mind, and we
Because
think
we know something is going on right here.
She realized it. I think she realized it, and I think she just wanted what she wanted, because when she made the comment in the book about Malik knowing how she was when she wanted something, she wasn't gonna stop until she.
Got it.
Yeah, I remember that.
see, that's what I'm saying. That's why I said I think Jasmine was spoiled. I don't think she changed. I think she felt like because I changed my appearance and I have more money now, men are gonna want me more. Because you will see, like I said, men fail to realize, and they don't, a woman can play a man quicker than a man can play a woman. Some women choose to be played, but it's like we can hide so much.
Mhm.
And it's like you will find a woman, you see it on social media all the time. Everybody talking about this what's his name? Is it Jax? What's his name, Kim?
Jax, the one that the link that you sent us.
Derek Jackson.
Derek
Yeah,
Jackson.
Derek Jackson. You know, everybody's talking about him, how he looked, how his wife looked and stuff like that. He knew what type of woman he married. He wanted to marry a woman that was strong in her faith because he was a football player. I'm pretty sure he's probably been cheating on her for years. And instead of everybody focusing on him and his wrong, it's like, this is man's job. He's no different from a preacher. I'm going to give you this information is on you for the use with your life, because often we don't practice what we preach. And it's like with Jasmine know exactly what type of woman she is, and I think she feel like because I have more money, the men are gonna fall for me, because now it seems like I have more together. I have everything together, so they should want me. And you will find men being deceived by certain women like that because they choose to. I choose to because she may be more fun, she may be more exciting, because she's gonna allow certain things to happen. She only gonna get mad about petty stuff, but I can cover it up with money. You will find a lot of people that do that, men and women. And I'm just looking at like the Jackson. It's like, okay, did his wife sit up there and defend him because this is how he make his money? Or am I truly defending him because this is my fate? To me, he's no different from Jasmine. He's narcissistic. I believe everything I'm saying. I believe my own lies, and there's not gonna be any repercussions because he feel like I'm this good looking dude, and I'm sitting up here holding my wife hand tight. And it's like I got her locked and loaded and she's standing beside me. But instead of everybody paying attention to his wrongdoing, it's like, why we dragging a woman? She didn't do anything wrong. And that's even when some people read this book, you will literally find people that's gonna read this book and they're gonna feel like the Reverend wrong. Well, he shouldn't have smiled at her, or he shouldn't have been so mean to her. Because in certain parts, I understand where Jasmine's coming from. I've been through a lot, but then once you read on, it's like Jasmine spoiled. Either her mother, her father let her have her way, but Jasmine used to having her way. And Jasmine used to everybody fussing at her, telling her she can't have something, but they let her get away with it.
And when you
That's
know
no
they
different.
can't, they can't, what they can't have, they want it even more.
Right. And she's one of those.
So did she change she changed the type of men she wanted? She went from married men to just men, single men? Because she didn't, Miss, what'd you say, Leo?
I just shook my head. I think I went a little farther in the book.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yeah, so I won't spoil it for you guys, but I have no sympathy for her. And I think for people like Jasmine, the Lord has to do the humbling. And if we don't humble ourselves, when God humbles us, it looks a whole lot like humiliation. So she's on her way to humiliation. And sometimes that's what it takes. So if we don't humble ourselves, and when God steps in to humble us, we do have some live viewers. So we're the book Coretta just held it up for us. So it's interesting because when you go on and continue to read in the book, you find with this character, no good can come to her because she's constantly sowing seeds of destruction in other people's lives.
That's because something is missing within her.
Love.
She does not love herself.
She don't love herself, and she don't know how to love other people, because it's like her sister like called me. It's like, if you lonely and you reaching out and you going through this, why wouldn't you reach out to your sister? Because your sister not asking for anything but to communicate, so I'm making sure you okay. Hosea truly is genuinely interested in you. Instead of you focusing on him, you want to have sex with him so you can manipulate him. And Malik genuinely loves you because he's constantly trying, and he's not even trying to be rude. And you was expecting an apology from Malik because he was telling you stop playing these games. So I don't think Jasmine loves anybody but herself. I think Jasmine shows love through sex and through manipulation, because this is how I get what I want, and I play on weak-minded people. I think she's afraid of May Francis because I can't figure her out, because it's like she's not asking me for anything. What does she really want from me? And it's like, you run from people that you're scared of because you can't figure them out. And I'm pretty sure the Reverend got his own distractions, because it's more to him. And even if he used to women like her, and his wife died, and remember what the son said, he was mad at his dad for a long time. That's why he left. So it's more to the Reverend too. He ain't all good.
So
I'm interested in finding out a bit about Miss May Francis. What is her story?
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Her story is interesting. And when the more the book got into her story, I just loved it because, the issue of being an atheist comes into play, and how she was a Christian, and then a lot of things happened in her life. So she's sitting on the sideline, just like in real life. People are sitting on the sideline and they watch us and they are encouraged by us. I know a lot of times we'll focus on the negativity, the negative aspects of people watching you, but people are encouraged and they're looking for the genuine. They're looking for the real deal, and they want to be a part of the real deal. So when that character was introduced and was brought more on the scene, I was excited, because at some point, Jasmine is going to give her a Bible. Although Jasmine, she's not ready herself. But
she don't read the Bible.
But she gave her a Bible, and I just thought it was just so fascinating, because as the story progressed, you can see, she just did not like the fact that this girl did not believe in God, but she was the example. Jasmine was the Bible that she was watching, which is a pitiful example. Jasmine was a pitiful example. I'm telling you, because she's gonna be.
But the lady didn't know she didn't know all the other things that Jasmine, because she didn't see Jasmine outside of the apartment.
Oh, she will. She gonna see some stuff.
Yeah,
Jasmine gonna be caught up in some stuff.
Right, because you could tell from the dynamic of the book, because it's like Jasmine don't stop. It's like Jasmine would destroy anybody in her past. She would tell any lies to get what she wants. She don't care about who she hurt to get what she wants. And like I said, May Francis is very observant. She was wise enough not to tell Jasmine her story in the beginning, because she wants to observe who Jasmine is. Even with you can tell it even something with the well, I'm not gonna call him the butler, but the guy that works in the hotel, he's very observant of Jasmine. Yes, he pays very close attention to it.
Henry,
yeah, he's the doorman. Yeah.
So he noticed a lot.
So I'm always wondering, how people would, when we read books and they relate to real life stories, how do we help people that we know that are dealing with similar situations, or their behavior is similar to the character that we're reading about, or that we're becoming aware of in the I was about to say in the Bible, but in the books that we're reading. So if you had a friend that had these same patterns all the time, just doing the same thing, do it one time, get hurt, get herself together, and end up doing the same thing again, and then again and again. What do you tell them? Because they have to try to figure out, why am I keep doing the same thing over and over again? Why I haven't learned from the first 3 or 4 times. So why am I still putting myself in this situation again with the same type of man again?
Right. Kim, we're going to get that question to you, even if she don't say it. Kim is a licensed psychologist. So we're going to get that question to you, Kim. How do we help? Is she on?
I'm sorry, what you say?
From what Donna said, how do you help people like Jasmine? What
They
actually
keep doing the same thing over and over again, involved with the same type of men over and over again, men that she can't have, and she hurt herself, gets hurt as a result, and says that she's not going to do it again. Then next thing you know, it's the same pattern. We're still going through the same thing over and over. So how do you help them? What do you say?
I mean, as we know, sometimes it's nothing that you can say. I mean, we all know that we got that friend, we got that family member, we got that coworker, and and I can say therapy, I can say counseling, but early on in the book, when the therapist told her what her issue was, she laughed that off and went on about her business. So sometimes, as we have stated before, you have to let people fall and be humble. God just gonna have to work in those type of folks. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can say. And earlier when we was talking about intervention, do your part, let it be, and let go.
Yeah.
That's all you can do.
And just be there for them when they
be there for them when they fall. That's it.
Again.
And again,
and then you always, and what I have learned to do now in every situation, you always pray and tell God about the situation. God may not want you to do anything because you probably won't be equipped. The person that praying probably not equipped to do. But you praying about the situation, and God will send somebody else that is equipped to deal with the situation. Now, a lot of times he's sending you to do something. It's not for you to help somebody, it's somebody to help you. Because we ourselves may be dealing with something, and he's sending you to talk to somebody, and you thinking you're going to deliver a message or bring a blessing to somebody, and then somebody is going to bring a blessing to you. So my thing is, you always pray about it. Tell God exactly what you want to tell him, because there's nothing under the sun he don't know. He know what you're gonna say before you say it.
And everybody is not your assignment.
And don't be, huh? And
I say, because everybody is not your assignment.
Everybody is not your assignment. Everybody's not your assignment.
And because sometimes I'm somebody's assignment and I don't even know. But you always pray about things, and I learned, tell God exactly what you want. And you sit back and wait for an answer. The answer may come through the television, may come through the radio, may come through some person walking on the street, may come from something you read, but you wait and wait and wait. Because God, while you were thinking about it, he already working it out anyway. So that's the best thing. Always start with prayer. And don't be so quick to believe that you're gonna be the fixer. You might be the one he fixing.
Mhm,
And I think sometimes it's how people love go. You love somebody so much and you think you can fix them and you can't. You have to let go and let God. Before we got on and I was praying and I was going back and I was rereading a book and I have alerts coming to my phone and the preacher came on and he was saying that one page is okay, let me turn off the TV and pay attention to what God's trying to say. And the first thing he said, the man was doing this. He was pointing his finger and he was like, instead of we always doing this when it comes to our problem, we point the finger at everybody else. He said, do this. I mean, raise your hand up to God. He was like, stand up, everybody in your living room right now. He was like, just stand up and lift your hands up and stop doing this. And once you start doing this, God will answer and he will help, even if it's for you, somebody else, if you're standing in the gap for a family member or friend or whoever, but stop doing this, saying I could have did this or he did this or she did this and just do this, lift up your hands. And it's like, wow, that's powerful. And it's even in the book when you realize Jasmine is always busy doing this. Everybody, he did this, he did that, and she can't see her own self because she's so busy focused on the wrong thing. And I think sometimes in life we all get caught up with that. We get to a point of this, even if it's this trying to help, or even if it's this way, if I should have did this, maybe this would have been better. Sometimes we just have to give it to them and say, God, okay, you allowed this to happen for a reason. And I think, like Shea said, I think Mae Francis is going to be a powerful testimony for Jasmine, and Jasmine is going to be somebody for her. Because notice, Jasmine even said she looked into her eyes and she saw her loneliness. She saw an older woman that she's alone and she felt sorry for her. And notice, we didn't see Jasmine feel sorry for nobody in this book but Mae Francis. Everything was all about her until it came to Mae Francis. So either Mae Francis is Jasmine assignment or Jasmine Mae Francis assignment. But powerful ladies, I stand in agreement with everything y'all said.
yeah.
Does anyone have anything else
It's
before we
always thought
get on?
provoking. Every time we get off when we get into these conversations, they start one direction and they go the course that God wants them to go to. And it's always thought provoking. You're going to always get something that it may be towards your life that you can listen to and kind of know, that was for me. And these are some things I need to work on and focus on. Or it's going to go towards someone else and maybe the people that are listening. But it's always a blessing to get on the book, the table talk, and it's just been a blessing.
And what was that powerful statement Kim made? Donna, what she said? You are not the what?
You may not be the assignment.
You're not everybody's assignment.
Everybody is not your assignment.
Everybody is not your assignment.
Not your assignment. So, that means simply you're not trying to work it out for everybody. Everybody is having issues. You're not going to be the fixer. You can't fix it. Because we don't know all. We don't have all the tools, all the equipment to fix everything that that's happening to everybody. We don't have that.
A lot of us are broken in some forms ourselves. So like Darvis even said, sometimes they could be helping us. And that's the thing is like, we busy trying to figure out how when we just need to, like I said, be there for them and just pray for them, even if it's us or somebody else, because sometimes you can see clearly. God will show you some things for somebody else. And Cher had said me that one day, God will let you see stuff clearly and you can see them following instruction. And sometimes it's not meant for you to say anything. Sometimes you have to stand on the sideline and to pray for them. Because sometimes people don't have anybody praying for them. Or sometimes people have it's even a scripture in the Bible that says the heart is wicked and deceitful above all things and only I can know it. And that means sometimes we have a selfish heart. I may be praying a prayer for you and that may not be what you want. So sometimes we have to pray like, God, bless them. Let them be the person that you want them to be. Not me, not with the world.
And it's so ironic that you said that because I remember the minister was telling, and it didn't have anything to do with relationships, but somebody was sick. And you know how we were praying and God believing for that person to be healed. And she said, but what are they praying? Y'all touching and agree. You're supposed to touch and agree. But what are they praying for? Are they praying to be healed? Are they praying to go on with the Lord? You don't know if they've seen a glimpse of heaven or not. So what are they praying for? So you're absolutely right. We need to be praying the same thing on one accord.
Yeah. When you pray for somebody, say, Lord, I'm standing in the gap. I'm praying for whatever they praying for. Whatever they praying for. That's what I want. And I think this book club is not for other people, it's for us. It's fixing us.
Yeah, because I thought about even some of the relationships since we've been, that I've gone through, and I'm thinking, "Ooh, why I didn't meet them before I met that person? Why did I even go to that relationship? That was what was, you know. If
It
I see
made
them
me.
now, sometime I'd be like, were you thinking? What were you even looking at him for like that?
I remember and Kim and I told him this story. I remember it was I was getting ready to take, the pictures that you put on your invitation for your wedding. And I never forget, I went to Walmart because my daughter needed some hair and the beauty supply store was closed. Y'all know Walmart still a braid hair sometimes. And I'm just telling God, and the truth, ooh, I went in there. And time I walked in, when I say this man, ooh, he looked good. It was like, Lord have mercy. He was handsome. He was so handsome, it didn't make no sense. And I wasn't I was paying attention to him. Let's just be honest. I saw him, but I didn't know whether or not he noticed me. So I go down the section. I got my daughter. I go ahead and I get the hair or whatever. So when I come back, his friend pushing. He was like, "Go on, talk to him, man. Go on, tell her." So I'm standing there, and they'll tell you I overbuy. I'm looking in the movie section. Don't need any more movies, but I stopped because I'm looking, and I always do it. It's a very bad habit when I go in Walmart, even now. So I'm looking in the movie section. So he come over there and he was like, "Man, you so beautiful." He said, "I seen when you came in," and he was like, "I just want to get to know you." And he just talking, and and the whole time I'm standing there like, Lord have mercy, he looked good. I couldn't focus on nothing else. I mean, he had the prettiest caramel skin complexion, had green eyes, head shaved, bald, his tank top on. He was vocal, and he was just so nice and spoke so well. And he was like, he looked at me, he was like, "Oh my God, you married?" I said, "No, I'm engaged." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, I can't give you my number." And then he was like, "I respect that." Then his friend was like, "No, man, you've been watching her since she came in." So his friend constantly hyping her. He's like, "No, man." He said, I ain't finna do nothing like that." He said, "I got a daughter myself." And they turned around like, "Oh, he got a daughter. He respect her." Everything that this man said was correct. And it was pushing me toward him. And it was like, this temptation. You got less than 2 months and you finna get married. And this man standing here, and he is just gorgeous. He got a daughter. He's focused on his own child. And one thing I hate about a man, and this is the thing that the devil do, they manipulate you. Well, you can just give me your number. So if you and your guy having problems, I could be the one that you talk to and blah, blah, blah. My dad always have told me, when a man tell you that, run, because he ain't no good. He ain't got no good intentions for you or nobody else. Because when you got problems, you talk to that person you would about your problem. That's for you and your man to talk about, not for you and the next man. Because once you tell it, like they said, pillow talk is something serious. Once you tell him that, now he got to wait for to get you. He know everything you need and want, because instead of you been to your own man, you been to somebody else. But this guy didn't do that. He was the perfect gentleman. But I never gave him my number, and I walked out of Walmart like, "No, I'm satisfied with what I got at home. Let me buy this hair and let's go." But that temptation, I like, "Ooh, Lord, he look good." But no.
Okay,
No,
Lenore.
You
All
know,
right, Lenore. We
Lenora,
got you.
let me tell you, let me just say this. You don't have to remind us of the time, because I can tell on your face, when your facial expression tells me when we have gone overboard, when we've gone over the time. So
oh well, no, I don't feel
I
like
thought
that.
I had my facial
Face
expression
expression.
talk. You got me beat. You got
I'm
me.
gonna have to work on it.
It tells.
Well, well,
You
I
just want
stopped
to
the
be
live
respectful of
stream.
time. Yeah.
Oh well, because people tune in faithfully when you're on time,
Yeah.
and when they know you're gonna get off on time too. But it doesn't. It's not about people anyway. And I'm not rushing you guys. This is the hardest thing to try to interject and to come in there. But I do want to say, it is important that we remember that we are not wrestling against flesh and blood, but
No.
against powers, wickedness in
Mhm.
in heavenly places and high
Mhm.
places. So in the enemy, he studies us, and he's not a foolish enemy. He's a organized, skilled enemy, and he has studied us. He knows what makes you tick. So the individual battles that we face are the demonic spirits that have been assigned to you, and they've studied, and their objective is to kill, steal, and to destroy.
Mhm. Well,
Yep.
I need to make sure that he unstudied me, but he thinking that he know what I'm gonna do and how I feel or whatever. The greater one is within me, so he
You
can't do
got to
That's
think
nothing
right.
about
with
it. With Adam and Eve, with the snake, he was there
it.
watching. He knew everything that
He
Eve
knew.
needed to deceive
He
her.
knew. He knew to go to. He knew to go to Eve. He knew.
Right. And not Adam.
Did my check come through? Because I don't know how to do